Okay, music fans, welcome Harmless Dave, talking real music in real time for a few real people just like you and just like me. Music and some other issues. Sorry, I know there are some that want me to stick to the music, much like they want Eric Clapton to retire. Eric, just be quiet and stop talking. That's what they want from Eric Clapton. Don Henley has said something really crazy, and I'm going to comment on it. Look, Don Henley, smart dude, really into the money. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people think Don Henley is this super principled guy who would never do anything just for the money. But when you go out there and you basically call your manager Satan, and then you say, well, at least he's our Satan. You know, he may be Satan, but he's ours. So that works for us. In any event, there's been a lot of crazy things Don Henley has been involved with during his life. There was that 16-year-old way back in 1979, 1980, really at the height of the Eagles' debauchery. And look, I'm an equal opportunity forgiver. And obviously, we need to forgive Don Henley for the things he did like 40 years ago, because that's kind of water under the bridge. It's funny how the writers and, you know, the people who are talking about Don Henley can certainly forgive Henley for his transgressions. But anything that, say, Eric Clapton said 40 years ago or 50 years ago, that, of course, is held up as something that's unforgivable, the unforgivable sin of Eric Clapton using words inappropriately, whereas Henley probably committed a crime. And I think he did. And I think he might have even gone to maybe a jail cell for a little while. I'm not sure. I have to go back and do the research there. It's okay, though. It's all right. Again, forgive, forget, move on, right? Well, this article, I just don't even want to read it, but so Don Henley is at the Madison Square Garden, and it's a place where you are required to have a QR code to attend the show. QR code. And what Don Henley says is quite remarkable and shows you where we are at when it comes to the F word. And that F word, of course, in this situation is freedom. Screw your freedom. So he says, you understand that with freedom comes responsibility. He says, God, it's good to see you. Thanks for coming out. And of course, they make a point here of saying the show requires attendees to show proof of the thing, the QR code, the paperwork. Can you please show us your paperwork? You understand that with freedom comes responsibility. Wow. All right. So where do I begin with that phrase? That is that I just can't even unpack that phrase. That's like saying with slavery, oops, am I supposed to say slavery? Because apparently you can't write that into song lyrics. You can't put slavery. With slavery comes freedom. I don't know. With slavery comes free. I'm just trying to think what might be parallel to that phrase. I'm sure some of you could come up with your own, but with freedom comes responsibility. So you need to provide your paperwork in order to be free. You have to do something that the government tells you to do, or in this case, well, in New York State, MSG, it's going to be the local government is going to have an ordinance, a health ordinance, not a law. It's not something that legislators sat down and they passed a bill and then it was signed into law in their state. By the way, I do believe in states' rights. So if you're in that state and you pass a bill that becomes a law, yeah, it might be the dumbest law in the world. And I would say for those people who don't want to play in that state, and obviously the Eagles want to play Madison Square Garden because of the revenue stream it provides for the band. But if you weren't inclined to do that and you didn't want to be around a bunch of people who have all done what they're told and who are lemmings and who are susceptible to other things now because they did the thing, okay, that's whatever. I mean, you have the right to do that if you want to go and do that. But I find his statement upside down. With freedom comes, the only thing I'm responsible for is myself. I'm not responsible to the collective. This is the new narrative that you're selfish. I'm selfish. Why? Because we're seeing statistics that are coming out that my selfishness doesn't really make a difference in this situation. In fact, my selfishness might be smart in the long run, because God gave me a gift, right? And God gave every one of us a gift, and it's built in. It's built in. It's like a really good stereo system, right? It's AM, FM, plays CDs. It'll do everything. But someone's going to come along and say, you know what? We need to tinker with this stereo system, and we need to enhance it and make it better. And we're going to do this, by the way, every 4 to 6 months. So when you go back to Madison Square Garden in 2022 to see the Eagles do the Hotel California tour without Don Felder, by the way, which is a crime against humanity, whether they like Don Felder or not, he was so important to this band, and so much time has gone by. It's been 20 years since the big blowout. Might be time to invite him back if you really want to sell some tickets. I'm not sure Felder would be on board with all of this chicanery, but who knows? Maybe he would be. He would be the holdout, and then they would have to fire him for not going along with what they want him to do. So maybe he's better off just being on his own. But it's still kind of stupid how they didn't make amends. Stuart Smith, he's got this, man. He's a legend. Everybody's going to be uttering his name and yelling at Stuart when they're there, chanting how amazing he is as a guitar player. That's a bunch of BS, by the way, but it's in an article, so we have to believe it, much like what we're being told every day. Look, freedom does come with responsibility. You have to hold on to that freedom or you're going to lose it. That's the true statement right there, not, gee, obey the state in order to keep your freedom, because that's what he's saying. But they couch it in a way where they go, with freedom comes responsibility. Yeah, okay. So if you don't do this thing, he's implying that you're going to lose your freedom. You're going to lose your freedom if you don't do this thing. And that, to me, is what's really frightening, because he knows the state's coming. They're coming. If you don't do this, they're coming to get you. It's already happening in other countries, and it's some of the scariest and naked tyranny I've ever seen in my life. And if you're not afraid of it, then you're not paying attention. And if you're not seeing how the goalposts are being moved all the time, well, no, we would never mandate it. Now we're thinking about mandating it. Well, we wouldn't do it for everybody, but now we're thinking about doing it for everybody. Well, we'll only do it for businesses with 100 people or more, but now we're thinking about any business. And then you got states running around trying to block this stuff. You've got states that don't want to be a part of this Don Henley freedom movement. And they're saying, you know what? Freedom is just freedom. It doesn't come with any strings attached, Don. That's the way it's always been. You guys were big advocates back in the 70s of my body, my choice. Funny how, again, when someone is coming at me and they want to do something to my body, right? They want to do something to me and I say no, then all of a sudden I'm going to lose my freedom. Whereas you could do something to your body in the 70s and 80s, and even now, right? You can do it. You can go out in most states and just do it, right? And it's not entirely your body, but yet you're free to do that, and it's a legal thing to do that in most states. Some states are trying to stop it, and everything is going to the Justice Department, where they're trying to crack down and tell states like Texas, no, you can't do that. Well, we did pass a law. We passed a law, and people want this in our state. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to elect these people to pass the law in order to do this. Whereas all of these mandates and edicts that are coming down from Madison Square Garden, those things have not been voted on. Those are edicts. Those are decrees. That's the health department telling people what they ought to do. And then it's the local government. And the local government here, I hate to say it, is Ticketmaster. And it's Live Nation, who've been right beside this whole cabal during the beginning. Don Henley, Irving Azoff, well, he's Satan, yes, but he's our Satan. Folks, I don't care. I don't understand this statement, but it's brilliant, because people sit there and they just nod their head. Yeah, man, you want your freedom. You got to do the thing if you want your freedom. Well, stop, full stop. That's not freedom. That's not freedom. Freedom is you do what you want to do. That's freedom. You drive where you want to go. You go to whatever restaurant you want to. You hang out with whoever you want to. You find a partner in life, one that you like, not one that someone else tells you to find, you know. And I'm libertarian. You do your own thing. If you want to do something that I don't agree with, it doesn't line up with my religious values and so forth, it's none of my business. I can tell you, I can speak freely for at least a little while and tell you what I think about it, but I'm not for telling you what to do with your life. Whereas Don Henley is basically preaching from the stage, good to see you all, and here's my apology. With freedom comes responsibility. Really, Don, is that a West Texas value? Don Henley from the state of Texas, right? Forget what town, but it's real small town America. And Texans don't believe in that. Texans don't believe that, you know, with freedom comes this responsibility. They would say, screw you, Don Henley. I'm not doing that. You can't make me do that. And guess what? I don't need to go to your concert. Look, let me wrap up with this. The Eagles are a mere shadow of their former selves. No Don Felder, no Glenn Fry, no Randy Meisner, and, you know, and no Bernie Ledden. And that's kind of a deal, a big deal for some folks. And really a different band. And they do a good job kind of replicating these songs. Deacon Fry is the big surprise, because he's a fan favorite. He brings down the house. His stage presence, the fact that he looks like a young version of his father from 1977, it doesn't hurt. You know, he wears the jerseys and stuff, and he really kind of stokes that nostalgia. And the band runs through these songs and they do it okay. It's very pedantic, perfunctory, whatever cliched word I can come up with to describe an Eagles show these days. The recording itself is definitely augmented with a few other things that are happening on and off stage. I know this for a fact. This isn't really something that they would debate. They're putting on a show. Don Henley sounds okay for his age. He is, you know, the standard bearer, the torch carrier at this point, and he's not bad. He even gets on drums and plays some drums, which is cool. But, you know, to go see this band right now in the state that they're in, and they require you to do something to yourself in order to go see them, this is preposterous, okay? Okay, this isn't like, you know, health professionals on stage with lab coats, right? But everybody has become a medical expert, and everybody now requires you to jump through their hoops in order to enjoy a concert. And then, by the way, you have to pay $300 or something. Now, I know not all the tickets are that expensive, but they're pretty expensive. And if you want a good seat in Madison Square Garden, it's going to cost you. And then on top of that, you're going to have your QR code handy. And to me, that's just a complete abomination. That's all I can say about it. And anyone who gets on stage and says freedom comes with responsibility and is referring to this, they have a very warped view of freedom, and they don't understand how and why this country was founded in the first place, to escape the tyranny of others who are constantly telling you what to do. I do not believe this is a life or death situation, and don't ask me why, because I can't express that apparently on this platform, but I would be more than happy to tell you privately via Patreon, if you sign up. And I'm not saying that to gain more subscribers or more revenue, but if you want to know my opinion on this, I will go off and tell you why this statement is completely ludicrous, and Don Henley shouldn't even say anything. He should just play the music. If he wants people to do this, great. But, and people can attend. And by the way, how many people you think got a black market QR code or paperwork? I've been hearing all about that stuff. Anytime you tell people that they have to do something that they don't want to do, or you put out something, or you get rid of, let me say this, if you get rid of something that people want, like freedom, people find a way around it. That's why we've had a drug war that has never ended. And you may disagree with my opinion that some of these drugs should be legalized. Some of them, I don't know about all of them, but the ones that should be legalized that would undermine large pharmaceutical companies, those drugs continue to pour in over the southern border, creating a big underground economy. And, when you create some kind of deficit, whether it's freedom, whether it's something that you're telling people that they can't have, people find a way around it. And they do things that they shouldn't be doing illegally in order to attain the thing that they want. In this case, it would be a QR code. And you might say, well, Dave, are they scanning the QR code? They might be, or they might just be checking it, because guess what? They want people to attend the concerts. They want them. And there's no evidence, by the way, that any of this does any good when it comes to me giving this to someone else, regardless of my thing status. Doesn't really matter. And you're all closed in, close to one another. And I guarantee you people aren't following the other protocols. And by the way, the CDC says, even though you've done everything we've told you to do, none of these other things go away. You have to continue to do those things. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. So Don Henley, freedom does not come with this kind of responsibility. Freedom is for those who will fight for it, to keep it, so tyrants don't steal it. There are countries that are literally bringing people right now, as I speak, to camps in Australia. I heard that this morning. They're transporting people to a camp. What kind of camp would that be? Is it a summer camp? Don't think so. I don't think it is. And if you think I'm being hyperbolic, use DuckDuckGo, whatever, and you can find out that information yourself down in Australia. It has just begun for those who refuse to do the thing, and for those people who decided that they don't want to follow Don Henley's advice. So things aren't going to get better until we decide they're going to get better. And we have to do it in massive numbers to push back. And this is serious, people. And Henley's statement might seem innocuous because you don't want to go to the concert. And I get that. I just explained to you why the 2021 version of the Eagles doesn't really hold a candle to the 1977 version of the Eagles. And it's pretty clear that they don't have the same amount of talent that they once had. So to me, I go and listen to Eagles Live or the Millennium Concert or a number of other great live shows they put together. I'll go watch the Eagles History of documentary so I can watch them for 3 hours bashing on Don Felder because it's just so enjoyable, right? I mean, we want to set the record straight that Felder was the reason for all of their troubles and problems and why the band didn't get along. There was no tension between Fry and Henley, none whatsoever, right? Anyway, that's another book that should be written, the unauthorized biography of the Eagles. It probably will never be written because, you know, it's some things just aren't going to be said because you don't want to tarnish the hero who's up there telling people what freedom should look like. So anyway, I've vented enough. Lots of videos lately, lots of subject matter. If you want to go see the Eagles, unfortunately, you're going to have to do the underground thing and find yourself a barcode that will work, you know, a credible barcode that you can bring along, or you can just go do it, right? You can just go do it and play Russian roulette, and that's cool. Yeah, if that's what you want to do, it's, again, that's your choice, and I believe in that choice if you want to take it. But that's not freedom. That's tyranny.